everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing how I got my December daily album ready for this year by popping binder rings into my traveler's notebook cover. So this year I really wanted to use a traveler's notebook again, but I really wanted the freedom of rings, so I decided to combine them. So what I have here is a piece of cardstock that is my template for all my pages. That is what I've used to punch all the holes in my pages. So I am just placing that inside the spine cover of my traveler's notebook, and I'm tucking it underneath the strings so it kind of holds it in place. And I'm just using a pencil to make a mark of where I want to put my holes for my binder rings. So I put them as close as I possibly can to the stitching so that I can use as bigger rings as possible without damaging the stitching. And all I'm going to do is use this very old school hole punch. It's just like a punch tool, and use a hammer to tap the end, and it punches out a little hole. Now, I got mine a long time ago online, I think, so I'm sure if you looked on eBay or Amazon or something like that, you could find a similar tool. Mine came with a variety of different heads in different sizes, so I've just used the same size as my binder ring, and I'm just going through and punching out my little holes. Now, I am having to do it kind of a layer at a time, because these traveler's notebooks are made with a few layers of fabric and kind of stuffing, and then like a thick board on the inside of the spine to keep them nice and stiff. So I just punched out layer by layer until I got a nice clean hole. The traveler's notebook I'm using is an A5 size from Mumsy and Bub. They're really lovely, beautifully made, really good quality. So once I'd done with this, it really didn't damage the traveler's notebook cover whatsoever, even though I was actually quite rough putting the rings in. So now that I've punched my holes, I'm coming in with my large ring, and unfortunately that didn't fit. So I've come in with these smaller rings, and I'm pretty sure they're an inch in diameter, and I'm just going to thread these through the holes. Now, it was quite tricky, and like I said, I did have to be a little bit rough in the end. I just tried to be as careful as I possibly could while still pushing the rings through, and the fabric held up just fine. It didn't damage the cover at all doing this, so as long as you're careful, you can do this and still have a really beautiful album. So I'm just carefully pushing that through. Now, because the rings are metal, they don't bend, obviously, so you do have to kind of bend the cover around the ring to get it to pop through the holes, but there we go. That is all done. I pop my ring in, and it fits in there just really nicely, and I can just open up the ring and pop in page protectors like you would a normal binder ring album. So now I'm just going through and doing my second ring. I was really hesitant to do this, guys. I tossed up for a long time between whether I was going to do it or not, but I decided to just commit in the end, and I was terrified the whole time that I was going to completely ruin this beautiful traveler's notebook, but in the end I'm super happy with it, and I love how those baby pink rings pop against the peppermint color of the cover. So again, just pushing that ring through, and I was a lot more confident this time that I could do it because I knew I had already done it already. So you can see that I'm just making sure that I pop my fingernail under the sharp edge of the top of that binder ring to make sure that as I push the end through, it didn't damage the cover. And there you go, my rings are all in, and you can see they're nice and solid and stiff, so they're not going to fall down when I pop my inserts in. They're going to sit up nice and sturdy, so really pleased with that. I'm just going to pull the elastics out because I didn't want them sort of getting in the way of my pages turning once I popped my pages in, and that is just easily done. I'm threading it through there just like that, and then I will come in with some ribbon to fill out those holes in a minute because I didn't want just empty holes, obviously. So now I'm going to pop all my bits and pieces in. These are some of my foundation pages. I have done some more on these since filming this video, so the video sharing my foundation pages is coming to the channel, so keep an eye out for that in the next day or so. But first I'm just going to thread all my page protectors on. Some of these page protectors, those large ones, are just placeholders because I just needed somewhere to pop those in. Obviously they don't fit in the album properly, but all the other ones do. So I'm just going to go through and pop all those in. And I sped this up quite quickly because you guys don't want to see me pop in all my pages. And this just gives me a lot more freedom to move things around as I feel like I need to, and to use a few different types of page protectors, which is not really an option when you're using a stringed traveler's notebook. So I have just popped the rings closed there, and it just functions now as a normal binder planner would. And you may be wondering why I've done this. I wanted to use this cover. I I could have used a different album, a different cover, but I wanted to use this one specifically. I love the color, I love the size, it's perfect. It just didn't have rings, so now it does, and it's perfect. So now I'm going to come in with some ribbon and just tidy up those empty holes a little bit. I'm sure there's a bunch of other things you could do to fix those. You could pop some pins. I know I've used pins in the past, but today I want to use some ribbon. I have this really pretty pale pink organza ribbon that I want to use. So this was really easy. I'm just twisting the end of the ribbon to make it as small as possible, pushing it against the hole with my thumbnail, and then using my tweezers to poke the end through the hole. Super easy. And I'm just going to leave the tails just long enough that I can tie a knot, and then just thread it through over under like you would do a back stitch. And I've just made sure to start from the inside so that my knot will end up on the inside on this lower bottom one, so that once it's all done it will just look like two pretty loops of ribbon from the outside and just a really small little knot from the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow in the top, but this one I just wanted a knot, so I'm just making sure to start from the inside. There we go. I'll just trim the ends off my ribbon and tie just a little over under knot to keep it all together. And you could go through with a little dot of glue on top of the knot if you wanted to make sure it didn't come undone later, but there you go. Super pretty, complements those rings really nicely, and I'm using quite a bit of pink in this album, so it goes together really well. Same thing for the top. I just made sure to start from the outside this time because I do want to finish off with a pretty bow. So there we go, just gone over under and left a loop so that I could do the bow. Just a simple, normal bow that you would tie on a gift. So I've just tied a little knot first to make sure that it doesn't come, if the bow does come undone, the whole thing doesn't come out. And there we go, I've just tied a little bow. I'm just finessing it, getting it all just how I like it, and then I'll just trim off the ends with my scissors. Super cute. I'm going to make another kind of spine dangle that I might hang off the ring. We will see where I end up putting that, but for now just the little bow is very cute. All done. And that is all finished, so it's all ready to start putting pages in and getting my December daily project started. I really hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.